Friday afternoon. 2 hours into the drive from Boston. Another hour left before we reached home in Connecticut. We had just dropped off our only daughter, Emily, at her college dorm. Freshman year, new beginnings. Her eyes were full of hope. My wife's? Not so much. We were in my work van, a beat-up white Ford Transit. Not exactly sexy, but her Mercedes coupe wasn't big enough for the haul. It didn't matter. Emily was gone. The house would be empty. And that silence? That silence was going to scream. Crazy how fast time flies, Marlene muttered, staring out the window. Yeah, I replied. Feels like yesterday we brought her home in a car seat. She gave a distracted chuckle. I still remember the night I found out I was pregnant. Right after her high school graduation party. Took a test the next morning while you were asleep. Almost fainted. Back then, I was 21 and halfway through my mechanical engineering degree. She was a stay-at-home mom since day one, and we leaned hard on her parents. Somehow, we made it work. I started from nothing, pushing my way from HVAC intern to owning a contracting firm that serviced half the city. Paid in blood and sweat. Not that it mattered anymore. She's gonna miss you more than me, Marlene said, sipping her iced coffee. Why do you say that? You were always her superhero. I was just the one buying her tampons and grounding her when she failed math. I smiled. She's always been my little girl. But she's got your fire. Marlene turned to look at me. She's changed. The past few months, she's off. Cold. Distant. I think she resents me. She's just stressed, I said. Graduation, college apps. Give her time. But I knew she was right. Emily had pulled away, mainly from her. And the tension? It wasn't subtle. There were times Emily stared at her mother like she wanted to say something but didn't. Then Marlene said something that made my knuckles tighten around the steering wheel. You remember that night, 2 months ago? I was doing dishes. She came up behind me, knife in hand. Not cutting board, no vegetables. Just standing there. I turned and caught this look in her eye. Like she hated me. I shot her a glance. You're reading too much into it. Maybe, she said, but didn't sound convinced. I didn't know then that Emily had already seen something. But I'd find out soon enough. A text buzzed on her phone. She grabbed it quickly, trying to act casual. Beth. Just checking in. Her voice was smooth. Too smooth. I nodded, not replying. Last time I saw her, Marlene added, she couldn't stop bitching about her husband working night shifts. Said she felt invisible. I laughed dryly. She married a damn fire chief. What did she expect, candlelit dinners during wildfires? Marlene didn't answer. Just smiled faintly and turned toward the window again. I had no idea then, but she'd already lit the match that was going to burn her entire life down. We turned into the driveway and immediately I felt it. A cruiser parked out front. Fire department insignia on the side. And standing next to it, Chief Alan Grant himself. Bethany's husband. Marlene's old friend. 3 deputies stepped out with him. And Marlene? She didn't even flinch. I parked behind them and got out. Alan. What's this? This is the part of the job I hate most, he said quietly, pulling out an envelope. My stomach dropped. Mason Parker, you've been served. I took the papers, looked at him, and then at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife. The hell is this, Marlene? She couldn't look at me. Alan stepped in. There's also a restraining order. You're not allowed within 300 feet of Marlene. I stared at him. You were at our daughter's farewell dinner last Sunday. You and Beth were laughing, drinking my bourbon, eating ribs off my grill. You knew this was coming. You played nice while screwing me over. Mason. No. You knew. You both knew. So here's my message to you, Alan. You're a snake. And you, I turned to Marlene, you had options. You could have left clean. You chose dirty. You have to leave, Mason, Alan said, trying to keep it civil. I smirked. Of course. Wouldn't want to disturb the happy couple. I walked toward the door. You're not allowed inside. The locks were changed. Let me guess, Beth was here with a locksmith while we were gone. He didn't deny it. I turned to the deputy. Let's go pack my things. I'll take what's mine. He followed me in while Marlene stayed outside, talking with Alan like this was some damn coffee date. 2 suitcases. 1 gun case. My safe. That's all I took. Back outside, I tossed the bags in the van. Opened the envelope. Read the demands. I let out a single bitter laugh. She wants half my business. The house. Her car. Our savings. And spousal support. Alan put a hand on his belt. Don't push it, Mason. I'm not. I'll sign. You what? Right now. You want war? I'll sign your little contract. But remember, I build things for a living. I also know how to tear them down. I signed every damn line. Shoved the envelope back in his hands. As I turned to leave, I looked Marlene dead in the eye. How long have you been screwing him? I nodded toward Alan. Go inside, Alan barked. She hesitated, then obeyed. Alan turned to me. Don't do anything stupid. Think of Emily. I am. That's why I'm going to make sure she never forgets what you two did. He stepped closer. Don't test me. I leaned in with a twisted grin. Tell me something, Alan. How's your little brother doing? His face twitched. Why the hell does that matter? You work nights. He doesn't. Silence. You think Beth's waiting up for you with Coco? She's busy getting serviced by your own blood. You're lying. No. I'm just returning the favor. I didn't wait for the reaction. I got in the van and drove off. And that was only the calm before the absolute storm. When I left that driveway, I didn't go to a hotel. I went straight to a small hunting cabin upstate, one of those no Wi-Fi, no neighbors kind of places. Nothing fancy, but it was mine, tucked away behind a creek and a thick wall of pine. I had cell signal, a backup generator, and most importantly, time. Time to plan. Time to think. Time to destroy. Marlene thought she was clever. But you know what cheaters all have in common? Arrogance. They don't hide their shit because they think they deserve their secret life. And if you give them just a little rope, they'll wrap it around their own necks and hand you the knot. She didn't wait long. Saturday morning, not even 24 hours after I was tossed out like trash, I got word from a buddy who lived a few streets down. Dude. Alan's patrol car is parked at your house again. Just figured you'd want to know. Did I? Oh yeah. And I knew why. See, Alan wasn't just a fire chief. He was the silent guardian of Marlene's new life. Or so he thought. Because her real obsession wasn't Alan. It was Jacob. Now, let me tell you about Jacob. Early 20s. Works part-time at a Foot Locker. Drives a rusty Civic with mismatched doors. Barely enough facial hair to qualify as a man. The kind of guy you'd expect to be behind the gym vaping, not destroying a family. Apparently, Marlene met him while buying sneakers. Sneakers. They accidentally bumped into each other, real soap opera stuff. Swapped numbers. And the next day, she invited him over for lunch. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. She was addicted to him. I found out she'd been sneaking over during his lunch breaks, paying for his rent, gas, food, clothes, everything. She even gave him my old Rolex for his birthday. The same watch my dad gave me when I landed my first contract. I used to think only rich, desperate housewives did this kind of thing. Turns out, broke ones do too, they just borrow your wallet first. So I waited. Waited for Jacob to fall into the trap. And trust me, he did, hard. I intercepted one of Marlene's texts while she was in the shower during our last weekend together. She left her phone on the sink. So I did what any man with a grudge would do. I forwarded the thread to my burner phone. Here's the message she sent. 8 a.m. Friday. I'll sneak away and drive straight to your place before the trip. Pretend I forgot something at home. I'll leave my phone so they won't call. Can't wait to be in your arms, my future husband. Future husband. Precious. That message was the key. Because that Friday, while we were packing up for Emily's college move, I made sure to leave Marlene's phone in her purse. Right where she expected it to be. She never suspected a thing. And Jacob? That dumb son of a bitch fell for it exactly like I hoped. Now, this next part requires a disclaimer. I never said I was the good guy. Because what I did. It wasn't legal. It wasn't ethical. But damn if it wasn't satisfying. Friday morning. Jacob unlocks his apartment, expecting sex and pancakes. Instead, he gets 3 very large, very silent men inside his living room. No names. No explanations. Just one of them shoving a knife to his throat and growling. Sit the fuck down. They didn't hurt him. Not physically. But they made him disappear. They forced him to send a resignation email to his manager. Email his landlord saying he was vacating the unit. Delete his social media. Toss his phone into the bathtub. Then, they tranquilized him. That's not a joke. One of the guys used to work for an underground vet clinic. Don't ask. They rolled him up in his carpet, loaded him into a stolen plumbing van, and poof. Jacob was gone. His Civic? Dumped and torched outside of Albany 24 hours later. Marlene would never hear from him again. Now, did I kill him? No. And even if I did, do you think I'd admit it here? But I made damn sure he never touched my wife, my house, or my daughter again. The next 48 hours were quiet. Too quiet. Because Marlene was starting to unravel. Her texts to Jacob went from needy to panicked to pathetic. Where are you? You promised me. Pick up. Please. And I watched it all from my burner. She didn't know he was gone. Not yet. Probably she poured wine. Sat in my living room. Turned on my TV. Wore my bathrobe like she owned the place. Probably thought she'd just swap husbands and live happily ever after with a walking midlife crisis. But Jacob wasn't coming. And soon, nothing else would be either. By Sunday morning, Marlene was 2 bottles deep and in full panic mode. Jacob had ghosted her for over 48 hours. She tried everything. Texts, calls, voicemails that sounded like they belonged in a psych ward. She even tried DMing his store's Instagram page, asking if he was okay. No response. No sign of life. She paced around the living room like a sitcom widow waiting for her dead husband to come back with milk. She checked the windows every time a car passed. Her hands shook when her phone buzzed, only to realize it was another spam email or a bill. See, the thing about people like Marlene? They don't love people. They love attention. And Jacob, her discount boy toy, had been her supply. Once he vanished, so did her lifeline. And unlike me, she had no backup plan. Just a head full of delusion and a wine rack that couldn't keep up. Monday morning, things got real. She went to the bank. And reality throat-punched her like a freight train. The mortgage payments? 3 months overdue. The joint account? Drained. The credit cards? Cancelled. Her car loan? Defaulted. Turns out, that shiny Mercedes convertible? She didn't own a cent of it. She stormed into the bank manager's office like some real housewife of East Nowhere. And he? He dropped the hammer. Mrs. Parker, your husband visited us last week. He removed himself from all joint accounts and lines of credit. As he's no longer liable, and since no payments have been made, we're moving forward with repossession. Her face, apparently, went completely white. My husband, she snapped. You mean ex-husband. He informed us of the divorce, the manager replied without blinking. And he was very clear that your liabilities are now yours alone. She tried the "this must be a mistake" routine. Didn't work. Then she tried the tears. Still didn't work. When she got home, she called me. Or tried to. Number disconnected. She called my office. No answer. She called my daughter. And that was the real gut punch. Emily answered. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She went nuclear. What do you want, Marlene? Not mom. Not mother. Just her first name, like she was a stranger in a grocery line. Sweetheart, Stop. Don't call me that. Don't call me ever again. Please, I just want to speak to your father. He doesn't want to hear from you. And neither do I. You betrayed both of us. You're not my mother. You're a woman who blew up her own family for a guy who sells shoes. Click. That was the moment Marlene started to break. She sat in the driveway sobbing in her repossessed Mercedes, clutching a phone that no longer connected her to anything. Her lover? Gone. Her money? Gone. Her husband? Ghosted. Her daughter? Ashamed of her. But wait, it gets better. Later that afternoon, she finally reached her divorce lawyer. She thought maybe, just maybe, she could get something out of me. Alimony, equity from the business, the house. What she got instead was a metaphorical slap with a legal brief. Mrs. Parker, we did a preliminary inquiry into your husband's business accounts. Unfortunately, he filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy last Thursday. Silence. That can't be right. I was told I'd be getting millions. 2 weeks ago, the business was thriving. But since then, all the company's assets were liquidated. Accounts frozen. Equipment sold. Staff terminated or absorbed into a new holding company. There's nothing left. She was stunned. She thought she was robbing me blind. She didn't realize I'd burned the vault down before she got the chance. Oh, and the house? The lawyer explained that I had taken out a second mortgage right before the divorce was filed. Why? To pay for Emily's college tuition, in full. She tried to argue that I'd done it to screw her. The lawyer shut that down fast. Your name is also on the deed. You signed every loan document. But I didn't know. You should have read what you signed, Mrs. Parker. Brutal. That night, Marlene called her sister. Begged for a place to stay. And at first, the sister agreed. Until the email arrived. See, I had one last card to play. A little USB drive filled with highlights from Marlene's greatest hits. Audio. Video. A very graphic slideshow of her and Jacob, marital bed footage included. Uploaded to a certain mature content site. And then, an anonymous email blast to her sister, her coworkers, her bridge club, her yoga group, her pastor, and pretty much everyone we knew. Her sister called screaming. What the hell did you do, Marlene? Tom says you're not allowed near our house. He said you'd contaminate our daughter with your filth. Door slammed shut. Another one down. The next few days were a blur for her. She sold her fake jewelry, which I'd swapped weeks ago, for a whopping $200. The rare painting she wanted to flip for cash? A masterfully forged replica worth less than a motel room night. I had the real one tucked away with a friend in Vermont. She went to the gallery for an appraisal and the expert laughed in her face. Ma'am, this is a knockoff. What? A parody, actually. Look closely. See the man and little girl in the bottom corner? In the real painting, they're crying. In yours, they're laughing at the woman walking away. She nearly passed out. By the end of the week, she was homeless, penniless, jobless, and blacklisted socially. The only friend she had left? A bottle of barefoot Moscato. That and a mattress in a $30 a night Roach motel. But hey, she was free. Just like she wanted. At this point, most guys would have called it a day. Walked off into the sunset with a beer in hand, maybe posted a smug karma's a bitch status on Facebook and let time do the rest. But I wasn't most guys. See, I didn't just want to win. I wanted her to feel it. Every single step of the way down. While she was spiraling, I was laying bricks. Literally and figuratively. My company? Not dead. I dissolved Parker Heating and Mechanical Solutions Incorporated, the business that had our names all over it, and shifted all operations under a new LLC run by a retired couple from Seattle. Well, retired. In reality, they were Lydia's aunt and uncle, Lydia being a forensic auditor and my not-so-accidental lunch companion for the past few months. She helped structure the entire move like a corporate vanishing act. Clean, legal, untouchable. Every contract, asset, and employee transferred smoothly. Even the email domain stayed the same. So to the public, the company looked closed due to bankruptcy. But inside, it was thriving. And the kicker? In 3 years, I'd buy it back under Emily's name, for a tenth of its value. That wasn't just revenge. That was generational planning. Lydia. Let's talk about her for a second. Smart as hell. Widow. Single mom to a 10-year-old boy with an obsession for Legos and chicken nuggets. She hadn't dated since her husband passed in a drunk driving accident 2 years back. We met during a financial audit. And yes, it started professionally. But after the fourth dinner that just happened to run long, I knew. I wasn't rebuilding alone. Of course, nothing physical happened. I was still married, technically. Say what you want, but I didn't want to blur the lines. Marlene did enough of that for both of us. While I was staying at Lydia's, on her couch, not her bed, I kept working on my other little project. The highlight reel. Hidden camera footage of Marlene and Jacob, carefully edited and anonymized, was uploaded to a certain adult content site. I blurred out faces. I wasn't looking to go to jail, I just wanted to ruin her privately, then humiliate her publicly. And it worked. The link made its rounds in every group chat she'd ever touched. Her yoga instructor? Blocked her. The PTA moms? Booted her. Her old high school friends? Sent memes. And then, the final hit. I sent the link to her sister's husband. The straight-laced, Bible-quoting, Sunday is for the Lord kind of guy. He watched the whole thing. Twice. Told Marlene she wasn't welcome in his house, his yard, or even the damn zip code. He said she had demonic energy. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my sandwich. By the time our court hearing came around, Marlene looked like a shell of a woman. Worn clothes. Sunken eyes. Lawyer 2 hours late because she couldn't afford to retain him full-time. She didn't even show up in court. And honestly, I don't blame her. There was nothing left to fight for. The house? Gone. Car? Gone. Business? Bankrupt. Joint assets? Liquidated and redirected. She thought she'd be handed a golden parachute. She got a garbage bag and a bus pass instead. The judge glanced at the paperwork and said, "Mr. Parker, given the absence of the defendant, the bankruptcy filings, and lack of contest, this divorce is granted with no further obligation of alimony or asset division." I could have kissed him. Instead, I nodded once. Didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just walked out of that courtroom with my head high and my hands clean. A few weeks later, Lydia and I started officially dating. Emily loved her. Called her Mom 2.0. They cooked together, watched crime documentaries, even built IKEA furniture without breaking into a fight, something Marlene and I never managed in 18 years. It felt earned. Then came the wedding. Emily's, not mine. A beautiful fall ceremony. Simple. Elegant. Intimate. I walked her down the aisle. Danced the father-daughter waltz. Gave a speech I barely got through without crying. And afterward? I kissed Lydia on the dance floor, in front of everyone. That kiss, that was the moment the past officially died. But just when I thought it was all behind me, I got a call. "Good morning, Mr. Parker. My name is Dr. Henry Doa. I'm a psychologist at a private clinic in Dallas, Texas. I've been treating a patient who asked to speak with you before she passes." Who? Marlene Parker. That name hit like a cold wind. I hadn't heard it in years. Didn't even know if she was alive. "She's dying?" I asked, flat. AIDS. Advanced. Complications from STDs. Malnutrition. She's been in and out of facilities for the past 18 months. Now she's in hospice. Her time is short. I didn't say anything. "She told me everything," he added. "She knows what she did. And she's accepted the consequences. She just wants closure." Closure. I said. She wanted freedom. Now she's free. "Mr. Parker, please. She's not asking for pity. Just a conversation." I looked at Lydia, holding our newborn son in her arms. I looked at the life I'd built, brick by brick. And I said, "Doctor, today's not the day. My daughter just got married. Let me call you next week." He gave me his number. I never called. Marlene died a week later in a cheap hospice bed wearing hospital scrubs, alone except for a nurse and a copy of the Bible she'd never bothered to read while things were good. I got the call. I didn't answer. They left a voicemail. I deleted it. So yeah, that's the story of how my wife tried to replace me with a younger man, and ended up replaced by her own karma. Jacob? Gone without a trace. Marlene? Buried in a pauper's grave in Texas. Emily? Thriving. Lydia? My peace. Me? I sleep like a baby. Because no matter how long the game takes, one truth always holds. He who laughs last didn't just laugh hardest. He made sure no one else got the last word.